संकट ते हनुमान चुरावे, प्रथम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। महावीर बलवंता, महावीर बलवंता, जय हनुमान महावीर बलवंता, पवन पुत्र हनुमान। चारों युग प्रताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियार। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नवनिधि के दाता, सबर दीन जान के माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दशा। महावीर बलवंता, महावीर बलवंता, जय हनुमान महावीर बलवंता, पवन पुत्र हनुमान। जय श्री राम। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे, धर्म जन्म की दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाय, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाय। और देवता छुटा न डरहि, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करहि। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरै हनुमत बलबीरा। महावीर बलवंता, महावीर बलवंता, जय हनुमान महावीर बलवंता, पवन पुत्र हनुमान। जय 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 बोलो, जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई। कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई, शत बार पाठ कर कोई, झूठ ही बंदी महासुख होई। जो यहाँ पर हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साके गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि तेरा, की जयनाथ हृदय महावीर। महावीर बलवंता, महावीर बलवंता, जय हनुमान महावीर बलवंता, पवन पुत्र हनुमान। 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 पवन पुत्र हनुमान, पवन पुत्र हनुमान, पवन पुत्र हनुमान, पवन पुत्र हनुमान। पवन तनय संकट हरण, मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लक्ष्मण सीता सहित, हृदय बसहो सुरभू। पवन सुत हनुमान की। As you're worshiping Mahavir Swami, one more, everybody loudly. Pavan Sudha Hanuman ki, Bajrangbali ki. Tonight, my dear friends, we're about to join once more in the golden pages of Bhaagwat Maha Puraan. And of course, on a night like this, we touch the feet of our Lord through the Hanuman Charitramanas. For it is an auspicious night to Mahavir Swami. It is also a very powerful night of our Lord Bhagwan Govinda. As the upcoming days, we will be celebrating the Sri Krishna Janmashtami celebrations. As you're about to begin this night, remember, Bhagwan says in Ram Kshetramanas, he says, Binu satsanga vivekana hoi, Ram kripa binu sulabhana soi. He says, wherever devotees gather together, whenever people come together and we sing and we glorify and we praise Prabhu, that energy automatically allows us to transcend from many things in the world. According to Adi Shankaracharya, Satsangatvi Nissangatvam Nissangatvi Nirmohatvam. He says wherever you go in the world that there's satsang and the energy of people sitting to clap and to sing. That in itself is powerful. We're about to join in a chant to Mahaviri Swami. To those who know it, you can sing along. To those who don't, let's clap. Let's feel the energy. After speaking to Mr. Bansingh earlier, we were trying to see we are in a closed space in a nice little area. If we could sing loud enough and clap loud enough, we want to see if we could shake the Hanuman Baba on top there. Now if it shake, I'll move out from there in case. Bajrang Bali ki! All together we'll sing for our Lord. He Pavana Putra Hanumanta Bala Bhima Janeya. He Pavana Putra Hanumanta Bala Bhima Janeya. Bala Bhima Anjaneya. Bala Bhima Anjaneya. Prabhu Ramachandra ke Duta Hanumanta Anjaneya. For Mahaviri Swami, we sing on this beautiful night. Prabhu Ramachandra ke Duta Hanumanta Anjaneya. Prabhu Ramachandra ke Duta Hanumanta Anjaneya. हे पवन पुत्र हनुमंता भल भीमा जनेया. हे पवन पुत्र हनुमंता भल भीमा जनेया. भल भीमा आंजनेया. भल भीमा आंजनेया. प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता हनुमंता आंजनेया. प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता हनुमंता आंजनेया. जय श्री राम. जय हो जय हो जय हो आंजनेय. जय हो जय हो जय हो आंजनेय. जय हो जय हो जय हो आंजनेय. Glories to Lord Bajrangabali on this night, when millions of people in the world will sacrifice a moment to praise Mahaviri Swami. They will chant Om Shri Hanumati Namaha. Om Shri Hanumati Namaha. Om Shri Hanumati Namaha. Everybody bolo. Anjaneya, 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 Hanumanta Anjaneya. Bala Bhima Anjaneya. Anjaneya, 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 Anjaneya. Duta Hanumanta Anjaneya. He Pavana Putra Hanumanta Bala Bhima Anjaneya. Friends and bhaktas, on this divine night, as we're about to dive in the golden pages of Bhagavatam, we're about to praise our Lord Bhagavan Shri Krishna, Lord of the universe. And when we worship Prabhu Gopal, we say, Prabhu, Prabhu, today everything happens by your grace, by your mercy, and by your compassion. On this divine night, we're about to be in our scripture. But before we do so, everybody, Pavana Suta Hanumana ki. Very nice. The Katha begins tonight as we speak of a very bad person. Do you know bad people in the world? Katha begins where we speak about a bad person. A bad man, a person who lives on the earth and he kills and he destroys people's lives. And he creates havoc everywhere. And wherever he goes, he always allows people to be hurt and in pain and in tears. It is said, wherever he walks, he makes people cry. Wherever he goes into people's homes, he allows people to become messed up mentally. He allows the mind of people to be once more destroyed. The mental peace of everyone, they are destroyed. And one day, this bad personality, in our scripture, in Bhagavatam, according to Shanti Parva, he walks into the depth of the forest and he feels proud as to who he is, because wherever he goes, people are scared and people don't like to see him. Our Katha begins where he walks into the forest and the Lord decides to take a role and a part to show the bad people of the world the power of the universe. And while walking, a storm is about to begin. It is said rains will fall heavily. The winds will be so much. It will create havoc everywhere. Floods will start to rise. And this man walking by himself, treading on a path by himself, will stand to think that he is the best thing in the world, but only to realize that when Bhagwan's power is at stake, then there's nobody more powerful than the Lord of the universe. Shri Gajananda Swami ki Jai! Do you know bad people? Do you know people that whenever you see them, something bad coming out of their mouth one time? Yeah? You all don't point no fingers and so on. Do you all know that particular people, whenever you see them in your life or whenever they call you, all you expect to hear is something bad about somebody. They never call you and say, hey, you know what, I want to tell you something good. Something nice has happened. Whenever you hear them, hey, hear this, I want to tell you something, I have a problem. You see what you did? And they start off. Or maybe they start with gossips and they start with bad things. A man who is a murderer, a man who is a killer, a man who lives a bad life, whenever people see him, they just want to go. Your mommy looking for the boy? You know somebody in the back there like that or what? Katha says in Shanti Parva, a bad person, nobody wants to be around them. Sometimes there are people in our village. Sometimes there's somebody in our house, an abuser, somebody who violates everything, somebody who probably does all the negative things. And when you see them, you just want to go the other side. You don't even want to cross paths with them. It's just a personality in your mind. You know what? When you hear the name alone, I just want to go somewhere else. I don't want to be anywhere near that person. We speak of that personality. He has karma. He has bad deeds. He has bad karma. He has so many things bad that will take place in his life. Because while he was living his life, he never cared about anybody. He cared about nothing. He only cared about himself and the power that he has to destroy everybody around him. So wherever he walks, it's as though the plants will die out of his bad energy. And he goes one day. But the Lord wants to teach bad people a lesson. The God will teach and our Lord will teach bad people a lesson. Don't be a bad person. Bhagwan will give you bad days and bad moments and you'll wonder why and ask why me. But when you do bad things, what goes around comes around. Today, walking in the forest, it starts to rain heavily. It starts to pour, but he doesn't have a home. He doesn't have a house. He just loafs out of people. He just lives off people. Whatever he gets, he takes. Whatever he doesn't get, he comes and takes. That sounds like somebody really bad, right? Shanti Parva tells us that while he's walking through the forest, he goes deeper into the forest and the floods will start to rise. And he's all alone. And it's a dark night. The moon hasn't even come out. And while the floods are rising, with all the ego that he has, even then, he feels as though now for a moment, a little bit of fear starts to grow in his heart. Even the bad people, as bad as they are, Bhagwan knows how to wake up the fear within every one of us. And when fear comes in, he starts to wonder, I wonder what I've done that bad in my life to be in the middle of the forest, in a storm, flood is rising, and there's nothing to do. There's nobody to save him. There's nobody to even accompany him. But he's all by himself. And suddenly now, in a distance, he sees on the ground while the floods are rising, he sees a little bird. And that little bird is struggling on the ground itself because the storms would have knocked him down. And that female bird lying down there chirps very easily, waiting for someone to save. But you know what? Who knows? Maybe someone will come. Maybe somebody won't come. But life is unpredictable. We can get knocked down any day, anytime. Who will come if you've fallen? We begin with this beautiful song. Even though he's in the midst of a test from the Lord as a bad personality, even then he doesn't change. He walks up to the bird and he picks up the bird in his hand, and seeing him lifeless and three-quarter lifeless, he takes that bird and he takes now some of the dry twigs that are around, and he then folds them together and he makes a little cage and he puts that bird in the cage, saying to that bird in his mind, maybe one day you'll be my food. Even in the midst of adversity, even when you think things are bad, even then, how many of us change for the better in the world? The bird looks up at him and sees the negative energy around him, and the bird can only think that this moment is my last. Koi laak kare chaturai, koi laak kare chaturai, karam ka le kamite nare bhai, karam ka ले कमिते नरे भाई, ज़रा समझो इसकी सच्चाई रे, करम का ले कमिते नरे भाई, करम का ले कमिते नरे भाई. When bad things happen in your life and it keeps going bad, when things don't work out for you, why don't you just change? Why don't we just change? Why don't we stop to think? You know what we do? We blame everybody. You know why this is happening to me? Because he did that. You know why this is happening? Because when they put that last time, they know what they was doing. They do it because they want me to fall. We start blaming people instead of taking a moment to look at ourselves and say, you know what? I probably need to change. I probably need to do better. Stop blaming the world. Stop blaming people. Stop looking for excuses to say he or she or they did it. Stand up to your situations in life and understand that you are the cause of everything that happens. Nothing happens by guess. Whatever wraps you around the world that we live in today, it is because that you would have put yourself in that position, maybe knowingly, maybe unknowingly, but Bhagwan always has a plan. If not to uplift you, then to teach you that something is greater outside there. Today in our message, even though he is at the worst, and he knows that he can die out of a storm, he can die out of a flood, even then the mind will not say, let me save a bird, let me save a creature. Even with that, his nature is so damaged that all he can think about is something more to hurt somebody next. Let me take a bird and put him in a cage and let me just keep it there. Maybe I will eat it. Why not ease your karma? Why not do something to make better of your life? How do you do it? Reverse that psychology of the karmic actions that you perform. Everybody, every single day, people come and people die. Koi laak kare chaturai, karam ka le kamite nare bhai. Everybody have karma. It's about how much good ones you have, and it's about how much bad ones you have. What will you do if you were to understand the karma that you've created in your life? Koi laak kare chaturai, karam ka le kamite nare bhai, karam ka le kamite nare bhai. कोई लाख करे चतुराई, करम का ले कमिते नर भाई, करम का ले कमिते नर भाई. जरा समझो इसकी सच्चाई रे, करम का ले कमिते नर भाई, करम ले कमी ते नारे भाई। इस दुनिया में भाग्य के आगे चलना किसी का उपाय, कागजा हो तो सब कोई बाचे, कर्म न बचा जाए। एक दिन की सीमत किसके कारण बन को गए तेरा गुराए, करम का लेख मीते नरे भाई, करम का लेख मीते नरे। हरी। If you know that you could do something to ease somebody's pain, will you do it? Yeah? And if you know that when you do something you hurt people, will you continue to do it? Yeah, right. You say no, but you're thinking, you know, I really hurt him. But that's okay, man. काहे मनवा धीरज कोता चाहे तू ना करो. It is said, my dear friends, that today, understand the world that we live in. If you do not take a moment to stop and realize that before you die, you need to change your acts, then do it now. Tonight, we are on the 6th night of our Yajna. Yajnas will come and go. People will speak to you again and again. Pandits will come here every single time, and they will come and they will teach and they will preach and they will leave and they will go and they will come again. And you know what? We will say, yeah, really good. Everything went really nice. I'm so happy. But when will you stop to say, you know what? Let me put it into my life now. Let me change now. Let me do something now that will benefit not just me, but the world at large. If you know you're hurting people, stop. If you know that you're hurting the creatures outside there, stop. If you know that you're hurting people in your life and the closest ones to you, then change around and make them happy, because you're gaining karmas that will eventually destroy you. काहे मनवा धीरज कोता काहे गुनाह करो. अपना सोचा कभी नहीं होता, भाग्य करे सो हो. चाहे तो राजा चाहे भिखारे, तो कर सभी ने यहाँ कायदे करम का लेकमीते नरे भाई. करम का लेकमीते नरे भाई. करम का लेकमीते नरे भाई. Everybody? कोई लाख करे चतुराई, करम का लेकमीते. Shiva Ganesh Swami ki. When you hear this song, what do you think of? What do you think of? Very, very good. I hope so. Because while some of the devotees here were listening to that song, they were like, Jai Narayan. I said they kaput de for a second. When you hear songs like those, it is to remind you of life. To remind you to do the good things and forget the bad things. To let go of the bad traits in your life. To let go of the things that are hurting you. Like I said, When you do something and you know you hurt people, don't do it again. Change around, change situations and make it a happy one, make it a good one. Today in our scripture, it is said that while this bad personality, he takes it upon himself to go in the forest. He's met with now a storm, he's met with floods, but yet the bad thinking will never leave him. Some people become old and worn out, but yet desires and negativity will never leave their mind. From young and growing old, it is said people will reach a stage in their life where they can't walk anymore. Their feet will give up on them. The hair will start to fall. Their teeth may fall out. They will lean on a staff and on a stick. But you know what? Desires will still have the better of them. They will still run after the things of the world. They will not let go. Change your ways and live a better life. Today, he takes some stick and he puts them together. And he finds a beautiful female bird. It's a pigeon. He finds his bird and he puts his pigeon into the cage. And he thinks to himself, well, there's a storm and there's flood and I don't know where I will end up. But at least wherever I do, I will have something to eat. He's lifting his bird and he's trying to find his way, to find a spot as to where to go and where to hide. And while he's looking for a spot, the floods are rising. He doesn't know where to go. So he sees a little mountain and he starts to climb the Parvat. And while he's going halfway there, he's skating and coming back down. So he cannot go all the way up. So halfway there, he sees a tree. And he goes by the tree and he decides that he will stand there for some time. And he puts down that female pigeon, that bird right there. And he's looking out now to see where to pass and where to go to now leave this spot that has trapped him. He looks around and he doesn't see anybody. He calls out for help, but nobody's there. He looks to see if anybody may be passing by, maybe with something afloat. There's no one. And at that point, he decides to now lie down right there. You all know it's the kukri? Kukri is what? What's the kukri? Somebody show me, let me see. How do kukri? Hey, show them now, right there, just so. Just like this. A little closer, a little more tight. He kukris like this. It's cold. What will he do? He sits like this and he kukri. You feeling cold? And in that position, while he's there, it is said it's so cold. He looks at the bird and all he could think about is at some point I will eat this bird. Even then, the mind only thinks how to hurt another creature. For a second, he stops to think and he says, look at me, look at my condition, look at how I'm living, look at me in the midst of the forest, cold, in the forest with storms, flood. And he looks at the creature and not for a second does he say, let me ease the pain of this bird. While he's like this now, all of a sudden he nudges away and he leans on a tree. And when he leans on the tree, in a few hours, while he nods away, the atmosphere starts to change. An early morning starts to dawn. It is still dark, but an early morning starts to dawn. And at that point, he opens his eyes for a second. And while he opens the eyes, he looks down and he sees the bird. And the bird is crying. You're seeing tears rolling down from the bird. And he starts to question, what am I doing in my life? I'm in a position here where I have nothing to eat. The storm has subsided. The floods have gone down. It's an early morning. It's dark. And he looks at this poor little creature and he wonders to himself, should I let it go? But then I need to eat it. So then, you know what? I shouldn't let it go. One of the most beautiful scenes I've ever seen. When we think of back home, there are many homes I go to do puja. And I see people have these nice big makor. And they have them just lose their nice red color and they just let go walking all over the place. And when they walk all over, you see them sometimes, I ask the owners, so they don't fly away. And they say, yeah, sometimes they fly, they get something to eat and they come back in. But by night, they come back and they walk through the house. Or some of us have parrots that you could just let go. And they walk everywhere and they travel everywhere. And they just come back to you without even running away. When we see the freedom of the animals everywhere, that is a blessing indeed. He looked at a bird in a cage and wondered, what to do next? Should I let it go or not? And then he says, you know what? No, I will eat that bird. But he sees a teardrop, and the teardrop is rolling down. And this female pigeon, while standing there, just looks at the earth and says, Prabhu, what have I got myself into? What am I doing here? Suddenly now, on top of the tree that he was laying on, High above, about 5 branches above, there's a male pigeon. He's standing there and he's pacing up and down. And out aloud, he's speaking out with his energy. And he's thinking out aloud. And he's saying the storm has subsided. Look at the world. My wife has left this morning to find food and she never came back. I wonder where she may be. Where is she? My wife has left for food and she has never come back. I don't know where is she. And he's thinking out aloud and he's watching the skies and it's dark and he's wondering and the wind is chill and he's looking out and he's just thinking, what will I do? How to live without her? All I have is a tree that I live in. I have a little nest that I live in. And I have my love, who is that pigeon. And all I have is her. What will I do without her? How many men can live without their wife? And how many wives can live without their husband? A little smile, think. आया समय बड़ा बेरंगा, आजा में बना लफंगा, कहीं पे झगड़ा कहीं पे दंगा, नाच रहा नर होकर नंगा, चल और कपट के हाथों अपना बीच रहा ये मान, कितना बदल गया इंसान, कितना बदल गया इंसान, देख तेरे संसार की हालत क्या हो गए भगवान, कितना बदल गया इंसान, कितना बदल गया इंसान। राम के भक्त रहीम के बंदे, रखते आज फरीब की पंडे, कितनी ये मक्कार अंधे, देख लिए इनकी भी धंधे, इन्हीं के काली करते तो हुए मूर्ख महान, कितना बदल गया इंसान, कितना बदल गया इंसान। On that day, the male pigeon stands on a branch and he looks out and he tries now in his language to call out, Hare Devi, Dulahin, where have you gone? And he's calling out to that pigeon, that female bird. But he's looking and he's not seeing her. He tries to look out. He takes a fly into the air and he looks out, and while he's looking he cannot see anybody. He's only seeing trash everywhere because there was a flood, there was a storm. He's seeing garbage everywhere. He's seeing floods backed up everywhere. He's seeing clogged drains. He's seeing all the negativities. And he's wondering, I hope she's okay, because if she's not okay, then how will I do it? I hope she returns, because if she doesn't, then how will I do it? My life is nothing without her. He starts to think out aloud and he starts to tell himself, what will I do without my spouse? He says, she's all I live for. As a male bird, he says to himself, when we dive into the nadis and the ponds and where there's water, we bathe together. When I eat, she eats. When I sleep, she sleeps. When we fly together. Whatever we do together. And he feels in love with his loved one. But where is she? How to do it now without my companion? Every single thing we will do together, and that is what creates a bond in a marriage. That is what creates a bond in a relationship. That is what creates a bond in your life. The moment people start segregating, that's when the problem comes. The moment one person says, well, no, you stay home, I'm going to do it myself, you're asking for trouble to come. He says how to do it in the world when she's no longer here. Will she come back or will she not come back? देख तेरे संसार की हालत क्या हो गए भगवान, कितना बदल गया इंसान, कितना बदल गया इंसान, कितना बदल गया इंसान, कितना बदल गया। Vrindavan mein Hari Lal ki. How many families live like that? That's a nice one, eh? How many families live like that? On our wedding day, when the ceremony takes place, one of the first vow that the Dulahin requests of the Dulaha, she says, with this first vow, I want to let you know that I'm about to leave the comfort of my home to join you in our marriage. So I want you to now agree to these conditions. Firstly, wherever you go, whatever you do, I wish to accompany you. And if for some reason I can't accompany you, then at least with my permission, then you go ahead. People of today might say, nah, think the walk through. How will it work like that? Things are different, right? Me understand kya work together, boy. Alright, I won't touch it. In our marriage, people need to work together to make it do. When people now become married, you know what they do? They eat together. I've been to many homes in Trinidad doing prayers. And even when I do puja, one of the recent ones that I did, this couple was married for 9 years. And even after 9 years, when the puja finished and I said, okay, to the man of the house, come, let's eat some of the food now. Let's eat. Let's sit down to eat. He sat down with me and he took out all the food and I started to eat after the mantra. And I said, eat na. He said, well, you know the tradition, every time you come on it, hold on. And he took a little bit of food and he got up and he ran by her in the kitchen. He said, eat. All right, good, now I could eat. Where's the love that people used to have in our marriage? Where's the love that people used to have in our relationship? We meet older people who say, you know what, I've been married 50 years now. And then when you look at them, you just look and listen. We've been in Guyana back and forth. And you see the older folks, they keep a tradition. They are probably married 50-something years. They are maybe 70 years. And then when you see the Dulahin call she husband, she say, honey. And I say, wow, look at that. And the young people nowadays, when they're now courting and they're now liming, they say, honey. But 1 year after, hey boy, come. Everything changed. Again and again, appreciate your loved ones. Today, this male bird, this pigeon stands there and he calls out to her, Devi! But she's nowhere to be seen. And he flies above and he's looking and he can't see her. And he comes back very depressed and very hurt. And while he's coming, he stands there and he starts to wonder in his mind, I wonder where she would have gone. I wonder what is she really doing. Being lost in his thoughts and lost in his mind as to wonder where she is. At that point, he goes back to his branch and he stands there. And he sheds a teardrop because he misses her. And when the teardrop falls, it falls to the bottom of the tree. It falls exactly where the cage is. And as soon as it drops in the cage, at that point, the female pigeon looks up. And when she looks up, she recognizes the tree. And she's seeing the tree. And she's seeing now this bad man who wants to eat her. He's there and he's nodding away a little bit. He's nodding away until morning will come. And she looks up and she starts to whistle. She starts to whistle so beautiful to notify her husband that she's below. And when she starts to whistle, he looks from on top. He hears a sound and he looks around. And while he's looking, he can't find her, but he follows the tune. And when he looks down, he could see the head of the bad man. But at the same time, he could see a little cage. And his Dulahin is in that cage. His loved one is there. His spouse is there. What to do now? He looks at her and he says, Devi, is it you? He comes down 2 branches. He looks, is it really you? He goes down another 2 branches. He's just 1 branch above now. And he looks down. He says, shh. Don't make any noise. I don't want to wake him. Maybe I can try to set you free. Maybe I can use my beak to break everything. She says, my love, I'll tell you. You cannot break it. If you use these branches and intertwine them together, it can't be broken. But today, he has come and he's sitting at the base of the tree. And now the male bird says, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to try to lift the basket and take you away? What should I do? And she looks at him and she says, what are you thinking about? Don't think of that. You can't help it. I will just have to go. Just let it be. She says, no. And they're having a conversation back and forth. And he starts to explain to her. He says, what am I supposed to do without you in my life? Haven't you heard of all these sacrifices that everybody else makes? Have you ever heard the kahani of the two birds who are flying in the sky? He says, I could still look at you and you're still alive. Do you want me to wait until you die and then show my grief? When you're alive, that's when I want to do and to show you. We always tell people, don't wait for people to die to buy flowers for them. Don't wait for people to die to buy a rose for them. Don't wait for people to die to buy a bouquet for them. Don't wait for people to die to say, well, look, I buy a nice perfume. When people die, then you go buy the box and you say, I buy a whole bunch of roses. Everybody, whole family, you all bring rose and put it. When somebody dies, you go buy the box and you bring the best perfume now and you say, I want to give them the best perfume. I want to do whatever it takes to make them happy. But when they're alive, you don't even have time with them. आज सुनो हम गीत विदा का गा रहे दो दुखियारे पंछी बिछड़े जाए बहुत दिनों के साथिया जुदा होंगे गुमसुमा करियो में आंसू आ रहे. The two birds were flying one day, and when the two birds were flying, they landed on a branch, and in love with one another, they were playing with one another. And then all of a sudden now one of the bird realizes that his partner is looking somewhat fainty. And then within moments, his partner fainted and started to fall off the tree. And while his partner was falling and heading towards the ground, his companion flew down with all his might to reach him. Only to realize that before he would reach the ground, his loved one knocks on the ground. And he comes down there and he takes his beak and he nudges his partner to say, wake up. Wake up. But he will never get up. That is how life is. आज सुनो हम गीत विदा का गा रहे दो दुखियारे पंछी बिछड़े जा बहुत दिनों की साथियाँ जुदा होंगे गुमसुमा करियो में आंसू आ रहे. आज सुनो हम गीत विदा का गा रहे दुखियारे पन हरी अलग अलग राहों पर चल दे दो प्राणी निर्दय जग में इनकी पीर नहीं जाने. आज पुराने सुख के दिन यार रहे दो दो के यारे पंछी बिछड़े जा रहे. It is said on that particular day, friends, while the male bird speaks to his companion, he says, what is my home without you? Home is a place where family should create love and enjoy. When last did you laugh in your house? When last did you laugh in your house? When last did somebody make a joke and mother and son laugh? When last did daughters and fathers have a laugh? When last did the home come together and for some silly thing they made a joke and everybody started to laugh? Everybody nowadays, they wake up too tense. Leave me alone, I have plenty thing to do. You do what you have to do. Everybody just moving in and out. Somebody wake up, somebody go in the shower. Somebody open the door, somebody's in the shower. You don't say a word, you go back in your room. You wait until the other person come out. Nobody speaks to anybody. Everybody just moving here and there. And before you know it, everybody leave. They go to their chores, they go to their job, they go to wherever. And nobody takes a moment to sit down. When last did you sit with your family to have a meal in your house? That's the home we talk about, not just the four walls. When last did you sit down to eat a meal together? When last did the mother take some food and say, child, come. I know you're a big boy now, but open your mouth. Come now, eat. We wait, my friends, for days to regret. Take care of the people in your life. Children, there's a saying, when a mother takes her hand and picks up that food and feed you, it's more sweet. Try it. When last did you take a moment to go and say, Ma, feed me. Ma, sit down, come, forget everything, don't worry about it, let's eat together. Call your children and sit with them and put them around the table and say, let's eat today. Don't get up and go in your room and take everything and just hide. Sit down and eat today. So how is everything? So how is your life? So how is your wife? How is your son? How is your children? How is your job? Tell me about your life and tell me about everything that is taking place. Friends and bhaktas, take a moment for family. Otherwise, you will lose everybody one by one. And the day you see them in front of you, lying there lifeless, you will say, wow, I wish I could see them one more time. कोई मत पूछो कौन है ये क्यों रोते हैं इस जगह में ऐसी भी अभागे होते हैं लूट गई फिर भी दिल का दर्द छुपा रहे दूध के यारे पंछी बिछुरे जा रहे दूध के यारे पंछी बिछुरे जा रहे दूध के यारे पंछी बिछुरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय श्री वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की Make time for your family. Make time to eat together. Make time to spend together. As a matter of fact, in Canada over here, summer is almost done. Outside already cold. What did you do with your family? Did you do anything? Did you all come together? Did you all laugh together? Did you take a moment to just eat together? Did you sit in your home and do something nice? Did you go on a field trip? Did you do anything as a family? That is important. Do things to keep your family together. If you don't, you will lose your children one by one into the world. You will lose your spouse one by one into the world. This male pigeon stands there. He says, how to live without you? I don't know how to do it. She says, what are you talking about? I can't come out of the cage. What do you expect me to do? He says, what is my home without you? You are all I have. How to live without you? And then he starts to give her a little speech. He says to her, he says, I'll tell you something. He says, I wake up every day to see you. He says, I do everything with you. I can't imagine anything without you. He says, there's no other wife like you. There's no one who will make me smile like how you do it. There's no other one who will feed me like you. This goes both ways. I'm going to turn the tables just now. I want to tell all the men, sometimes you take your wives for granted. She gets up early and she cooks for you. And you wake up and you say, well, you have no food there. Food just there. But the day she departs, you will start to wonder what to eat. We take her for granted when she cleans the home. We take her for granted when she takes care of your clothing. We take her for granted when she does the little things to make you happy or to put things in order to make sure that you're good. You just have to ask and it's there. The bird is saying, I don't have to think twice, but whatever I wish for is there. He says, as a bird, as a husband to you, I am pleased with you. Husbands, are you pleased with your wives? Don't tell me. Just keep it here. I'm afraid to hear the answer. I'm just posing the question to wake up that mentality to think. Wives, are you happy and satisfied with your husbands? Now, I don't mean if you're not, that means you could leave and run away and think, eh? Then there are ways to work around it and fix it. Today, the bird says, I'm satisfied with you and I will not change you. I am pleased with the way you treat me. And for the wife who treats her husband perfectly fine so that he's happy and contented with life, that is a blessing. For a wife who has a husband who treats her contented, happy, and brings joy to her, that is a blessing. Garuda Puran says, to the husband who have a wife who's always nagging and bringing a problem, we have a problem. And vice versa. That is why when we take a moment to begin a family life, we choose wisely and we think in our mind before we do so. We take the right path and we make the right choices with people guiding us like the preceptors and the spiritual teachers and the priests and the swamis and the sadhus and all the elders. Today, bhaktas, while he speaks to her, she says, I understand that you miss me and you're grieving for me. But listen, we have something bigger at hand. You know what will make me happy? This is what will make me happy. You have a guest at your doorway. He says, what do you mean have a guest? Well, while I'm at the base of the tree, this is our house, right? And since this is our house, you have a guest sitting next to me here. He may be a bad person, no matter how he may seem to be. But you have a guest by your house. Treat him well, because your guest should be your God. He says, but they have you in a cage. She says, no. No matter what the guest would do to you, when a guest or a person approaches you, treat them to the best of your ability. I'll tell you today, sometimes we have people who don't like us. I have plenty. Sometimes you have people who dislike you. Sometimes you have people who look at you to find faults and to criticize you. But as a person of God, when you approach or people like those approach you, be your genuine, nice self. Just let it be. I was reminding devotees recently in a yajna of the purpose of chandan. When you do yajna, you get the chandan. Have you ever heard my explanation for the chandan? According to the end of Ramcharitamanas, it is said that Bhagwan Shri Ram was speaking to the population and he said to them, live like the chandan from a chandan tree. He says, every time you see a chandan, remember this. A chandan grows from a tree and gives off a nice sweet fragrance. How do you get the chandan off the tree? An axe comes and cuts down the tree. When it cuts down the tree, the remnants spreads throughout the forest and it smells really nice. But at the same time, the axe will continue to chop and to cut until it cuts down the entire tree. Be like the chandan that comes from the tree and gives a sweet fragrance. Remember this. In life, when you give off nice scents to the world and you treat the world with sweetness and niceness, there will always be people coming with an axe to cut you down. But no matter how much you get cut down, like the chandan tree that gives off the fragrance, even on the axe, leave your remnants there. Even though people will come to cut you down and treat you bad, you still be nice to them and smile. Give off your sweetness. Because at the end of the day, the chandan will go at the top of the head, the forehead of the gods. And the axe, no matter how sweet it smells, it will have to go back into the fire to be burnt and sharpened again. When you wear the chandan, remember to be nice to the world, even if the world doesn't like you. Because in turn, being nice will gain you a spot at the top of the gods. And being bad will take you back into the fire like the axe. Today, when this male pigeon looked at his spouse, he looks at her and he says, what do you expect me to do? She says, you have a guest by your home. And as a guest, treat your guest nice. And he's standing there and he says, what do you want me to do? He looks at the guest, he looks at this bad man, and the bad man, he's there and he's tired, and he's sleepy, and he's hungry, and at that point he starts to turn and twist now. And then he wakes up now and he starts to stretch, and after he stretched, he looked at the bird, the female bird, and she looked at her spouse. And he looked at the bird, and he simply smiles, and he says, soon I'll be hungry. And when he said that, the male bird above, he becomes worried, and at that point, he says, what position have I put myself in? What position am I in this world that some people will be happy because his belly will be filled, and some people will cry because life just doesn't work out the way you want it to work out? Koi roye, koi gaye, koi roye, koi gaye. Some people will, what is roye? To cry. What is gaye? To sing and to laugh and to smile and to have a good time. But you know what? Kaisa tera sansar Malika, kaisa tera sansar. Such is the world that we live in today. Some people will laugh, some people will cry. But that is the world. Only you can make best of your life. Koi roye, koi gaye, koi roye, koi gaye. Kaisa tera sansar, Malik, kaisa tera sansar. Koi samajh nahi paaye, koi samajh nahi paaye. Tera karobar Malik, kaisa tera sansar. Hari, very hands tonight. Bolo. उजले जब न बसेरा पंछी सीब न जाए, कोई न जाने दर्द कैसे सब मतलब न कोई। अंबरणी बहाए, अंबरणी बहाए, धरती पर एक पार मालिक, कैसा तेरा संसार। हरि दिन के संग तूने रात बनाया, फूल की संग जाली। जान कहा किसी जगह बैठी पर पूरा सब सुख जाता। पातर जहाँ मुस्काए, पातर जहाँ मुस्काए, ये रोई बहार मालिक, कैसा तेरा संसार। It is said, my dear bhaktas, today, while this male bird looks down and he sees now that this bad person, he says, very soon I'll be hungry. He wonders to himself, what can I do to save my wife? Which true man sacrifices for the happiness of his family? And which true man or which man lives a selfish life all to himself? Which true father goes outside there and the only thing in his mind is to make sure that my household is happy, my home is comfortable, my children are happy? Which true man does it? And which man in the world neglects his home, neglects his family? He doesn't even bring food to the table, but he lives a life outside there, forgetting the people who stand with him. कोई रोए कोई गाए, कोई रोए कोई गाए, कैसा तेरा संसार मालिक, कैसा तेरा संसार मालिक, कैसा तेरा, कैसा तेरा, कैसा तेरा संसार। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्री वृंदावन में हरिलाल की। That day, the male bird looks down at his spouse and he wonders what next. And he sees now this bad man, he gets up now and he starts to stretch, and then he sits down and he looks at the bird. And while he's looking at the bird now, then he hears chirping from above because the husband wants to make sure that he knows that he's up there. So the husband starts to chirp out. And while he's making so much noise, the bad man, he put down the female bird right there and he looked above and he saw another. And looking at the situation, he starts to analyze. I wonder what is going on there. How come this bird is whistling and the other one I'm seeing tears? And then he hears the female pigeon now starts to whistle and he sees now a connection up there and he says, what, something is going on. There's a connection here. We look at people sometimes and we could see there's a connection going on. By the way you see people just take a look at somebody, you know something is going on, not so? If I look at somebody right, if I look at you right now, do so. What does that mean? What would that mean if I were to watch one of you and just... What would that mean? Huh? Let me go outside? Suppose I have a stiff neck and I just doing so. You go outside? But people do connect with the eyes. Eyes can speak, you know that? When you're doing something home and you do something bad and your mother pick up a stick and she watches so. That look alone tell you, alright, she done, you see that? You go in your room and stay quiet. When you do something bad, people give you the look. Long ago when my family members would come home and everybody sit down and talking, you're sitting and you're just watching everybody like this here. Everybody having a good time and nobody talking to you. But you're sitting there. And then a topic comes up now. And you know, it's the manners. You know, when the big people talking, the children must go one side. But you don't know, so you're listening and you're just looking at everybody. And then all of a sudden, mother just do so. Hey, you better get up and run from there, you know. Because if you stay any longer, Jai Narayan, the eyes can speak. Some people ask, how come me and the musicians, we don't even need to see one another sometimes. But it's just a connection. I just have to look and they need to know, well, okay, once I look, he look in. Something wrong, something going on. We just need to figure out something. And the eyes just speak for itself. We must learn to have that connection where the eyes speak for itself. Today, this bad person, he sees these two birds looking at one another. They start chirping at one another. Something is wrong. Are they lovers? Are there two birds together? What am I doing? And he sits and he looks at them. And he starts to question in his mind, am I doing something wrong to hurt any one of them? But even in the midst of thinking about it, he says, you know what? I can't be bothered about it. He's already a bad personality. Bad things don't even bother him. He says in his mind, whatever takes place, he will eat just now. And then when he says it out aloud, he says, move from here. And the male bird above sees the reaction. He says, move, and he takes a piece of stick and he throws it in the air. And when the male bird sees that, he realizes that he has to do something. And his Dullahin says, treat your guest with respect and everything will go fine. He says, but how to treat my guest with respect? He's going to eat you. How to treat him with love when he's going to do something bad to my home? Devotees tonight, how to treat people nice when they treat you bad? How to treat people nice when you know they treat you bad? You just have to do it. It is the good side of you that will allow you to do it. It is the better side of you that will allow you to do it. Because remember, what goes around comes around. And if you do a bad deed, then that bad deed will come back to you. If we continue doing, have you ever, how people say, an eye for an eye? And a tooth for? A tooth for? I hear some people say a tooth for all your teeth. And a tooth for a tooth. Why do we have to live in the world where we see and we do accordingly? If you do me something, I'm going to do you back. Why do we live in a world like that? Why don't we live in a world when people do you something and say, you know what, maybe he didn't know. Bhagwan will take care of it. Why don't we think like that? We need to step up the mentality, because if not, we are only going deeper and deeper in this age of Kali Yuga, and it's only problems that will come. Bhagwan sent you in the world with the clean shawl. Remember that? And he says, make sure when you come back, that shawl clean. How does it go? All together, we join. He Pavana Parameshwara mere, He Pavana Parameshwara mere, Man hi man sharma ho, मैली चादर और के कैसे Everybody बोले सबको मैली चादर और की कैसे, मैली चादर और की कैसे, द्वार तुम्हारे आओ, द्वार तुम्हारे आओ, हे पावन परमेश्वर मेरे, मन ही मन शर्माओ, मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे। तूने मुझको जगह में भेजा, निर्मल कर दे काया, आकड़ के संसार में मैंने इसको दाग लगाया, जन्म जन्म की मैली चादर कैसे दाग चुराओ, मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे। It is said, my dear bhaktas, that when the male bird realizes that there's nothing he could do, his spouse says, listen, if it's one thing that I want you to do, is to make this person a happy person. It is your duty. When people come by your home, how do you treat them? How do you treat them? Good? You don't know if God will walk into your home one day When people come into your home, how do you treat them? Your guests, Matar Deva Bhava, Pitar Deva Bhava, Acharya Deva Bhava, or Atithi Deva Bhava. Your guest is your God. Your guest is your Guru. Your guest may be the Divine Lord walking into your home. How do you treat them? Make them happy. Make them comfortable. Treat them nice. Ensure that they are good. Because when they leave happy, your home becomes filled with blessings and barakat. And if they leave unhappy, they take away the joy of your home and the joy of your life. Many people, my friends, when we see the people come by our homes, we turn away, we turn a blind eye. Sometimes people come, I grew up doing this. I grew up seeing sometimes my grandfather would be home. And while he would be home, sometimes you'll hear somebody call outside and he go peep like this. And he go say, hey, hear what? Go tell them that I know home. I don't want them to know I'm home. Maybe because I have a little money for them or I have something for them. And then poor me now go outside and say, my grandfather said to tell you, home. Be careful how you treat your guests. Treat them with love and respect. Even though people will treat you bad, show them back a good eye. Show them back a good side of you. Treat the world with love. Respect the people of the world, whether they like you or not. Respect them and love them. Show them that the nature that you have is a godly one. Niramala Vani Pakar Tujse Naman Tera Gaya Naina Munda Kara He Parameshwara Kabhi na Tujhko Dhyaya Manavina Ki Tari Tute Ab Kya Geet Suna मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे मैली चादर ओढ़ के कैसे द्वार तुम्हारे बोलो आओ. You know what, my friends? When the male bird spoke to his wife, she says, do it for me. Do a good deed. Just treat your guests good. That is all that will happen. And he started to think, well, okay, how to treat my guests good? There's nothing I can do. Okay, I have a plan. He flew down from the tree and he went to the midst of the forest. And with his beak, he started to pick up one branch by one with his beak. And he would fly around and he will come back to where this bad man sits. And he drops, ever so often he makes a spin and he drops one of the twigs there. And he drops a second. And he drops a third. And he's going back and bringing dry leaves. And he's going to the tip of the trees, and the leaves that are ready to fall, he will pull them and he will bring them. And then he makes now one beautiful flight as he goes far from the forest, as fast as he could. And he sees now some gurus are performing Havan Puja. He takes a leaf and he dips it gradually into the fire and he waits for it to catch. And as soon as it catches, he now takes that leaf and he takes his time and he starts to go back now. And he reaches deep into the forest again. And he sees that his wife is still alive. And he sees all the twigs put together. And there he simply just lands down there and he drops now that leaf and allows it to catch up all the leaves that he had put together and all the dry twigs. And he goes back on top now and he stops. And this bad person is saying, wow, look at this. I want to eat this bird, but a bird is saving my life because the bird has created a fire and I'm feeling so cold. It's early morning, and while the gurus were doing their early Havan at the most auspicious time of the day, the Brahma Muhurat hour, he decided to bring fire. And that bad person sits there and he's wondering, I wonder what is happening here. But there's a fire, so he starts to put his hands to get the warmth and the heat of the fire. While he's getting the warmth, he starts to look at his bird now in the cage, and he's wondering, another one saved me. I wonder if I should let it go. But no. Bad thoughts are still fostering there no matter what. Sometimes, no matter how good you try to treat people, if their personality is bad, they will never change. You could give some people your whole life. You could give them your world. You could give them everything so that they could have a better life. And if they don't like you, no matter what you give them, they will still never like you. That is the world we live in today. So be careful how you tread this path of this samsara. The bird flies on top and he waits. And when he waits now and he sees this bad man taking the heat, even then, the bad man looks at the loved one and he says in the cage, well, I'm grateful for this fire, but you know what? I will have to eat just now. And maybe you might be there. And now while the two of them, the two birds are starting to converse, the wife says, you must now take care of your guests. Can't you find something to eat? And he says, no, I'm not seeing anything, my love. But he stands up there and he says, you know what? Sometimes in our lives, we need to sacrifice. A yajna is a sacrifice. Sometimes people have to go out of their way to sacrifice, to make things do. Even if it means sometimes taking part of ourselves. And he said to himself, you know what? Rather than eating my wife, maybe he can enjoy something else. And from above the branch, he dives down into the fire. And as soon as he reaches into the fire, he dives into the pit of the fire itself. And he burns himself. And while he's being burned, the fire starts to consume him. And he looks at his loved one. And he says, my love, remember, today I've sacrificed for your happiness. It is better that I sacrifice for you rather than I live and you don't, because I would live miserable. And now this bad man is looking and he's wondering, but what kind of thing is this? A bird sacrifice himself for another? Something is not right about this. Something seems different. And he opens the cage for a second and he allows his other bird to come out. And when the female pigeon comes out, at that point, the female bird, she looks at the bad man and without even thinking twice, she says to her love while he's being burned, she says, today, how can I live without you? And she dives into the fire. Today, Bhaktas, according to Ramchaitra, it was on that sacred day when Bhagwan Shri Ram had saved Sita Devi. And Sita Mata said to the world, if it means that I dive into this sacred fire and I show the world purity, then I will show the world how pure I am from within. Because anything that passes through fire will become pure. Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai रोका कर्मा सालो व्यावक ओदा श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jaya Jaya Rama Oh Shri Ram Jai Ram Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram बोलिए श्री राम जय राम बोलो श्री राम जय. Did we say tonight we go in and shake the Hanuman Baba? Not even the flowers moving. Umapati Mahadev ki Shri Ram Jai Ram Jaya Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama. Shri Gajananda Swami ki Jai. Umapati Mahadev ki. On that day, Bhaktas, it is said that when this bad person saw two birds diving into the fire, he started to question himself. What wrong did I do? What did I do? I could feel something in the air. An energy is telling me that I did something wrong. He still can't figure it out because he's accustomed doing bad things. When somebody does or keeps doing something bad, it becomes a habit, they don't realize it. He's continuously doing all these bad things. He didn't realize he has hurt one bird. He made another sacrifice his life. The other went into the fire. Do you know up until at least 500 years ago? Up until 500 years ago, or maybe 400. Do you know when a husband would have died? Listen carefully. About at least 400 years ago, when a husband would have died, a wife would stand up and say, what is my use in the world if the love of my life is no longer here? So she used to walk straight into the fire and allow her body to be consumed as well. You all know that? Everybody looking at me like, well, not this time. That happened only about 400 years ago. Whenever the husband would have died, the wife would have said to herself, what's the use of being alive? When I live my life for my spouse, why be here now? To live for what? At that point, when the two birds were consumed in the fire, the two of them, their souls started to merge above into the heavens. And way above on the clouds, they were happy and they were sitting now and they were looking down. And this personality, this bad person, he looked up and he saw them. He saw an image of two birds, beautiful on a chariot in the skies. And he said to himself, I think I did something wrong. I think it is time I change my life now. When will you stop to change your life? When will you say, enough is enough? I've done enough wrong. I've done enough bad things. When will you say it's time to turn around my life and turn to God? Tonight, you know something? I feel lucky. I know many people may be happy that I'm here, but I feel lucky when I see everybody coming on this beautiful night. It's a holiday weekend and everybody sacrificed to be here. It shows that you've sacrificed to turn around things in your life because it takes one effort to create a miracle. Give yourself a round of applause for that. I feel nice for seeing that. You're a blessing to be here tonight. It is not for me, but for the Devatas. You're a blessing to be on the holy grounds on a night like this. This bad person said, I am lucky to be able to see two people come together. I'm sorry they had to die to meet above. But you know what? I can change my life. God, whatever karma I have to go through, whatever it is, I will deal with it. Whatever has to be, let it be. And he got up there and then, and he wiped everything aside, and he starts to walk in the forest to wonder in his mind what to do next, what to do. And while walking, he stumbled on some swamis who were passing by, and they were chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he stopped and he wondered, I wonder what they're saying there. I wonder what they're chanting. Hare Krishna, and he kept it in his mind. Maybe that would help me. Maybe just to utter one word of it, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, something, Hare Hare. Yes, I will get it. And he kept uttering those words, walking through the forest. And you know what? By the mere chanting of the name of Prabhu, you can burn karmas that you never thought possible. From being a bad personality. Do you remember that line? Itna tu karna Mama did it already? इतना टू करना जब प्राण निकले गोविंद नाम तब प्राण. Make your mark in the world so the world knows that you are alive. Sing loud, sing out aloud, forget the world. Even if we have 3 satsang, 4 satsang, whatever for the day, the moment you sit at the feet of God, don't be tired. When you go back home, be tired. When you sit in front of the murtis, be vigilant, be versatile. Take all your energy, everything for your Prabhu. Take everything that you have and sit before Prabhu. God is worth your moments and your time. Today, he's walking in the forest, and just by chanting what he doesn't even know, he goes into the forest. And suddenly now, in the depths of the forest, early morning, he finds a spot where he wants to sit and to just try to chant this mantra. And then before you know it now, right around him, he starts to see fire blazing, of forest fires coming up to him. And the forest fire is coming from the back, and it's coming from the other side. And he says, I wonder where this fire comes from. And he got up to leave the spot where he's leaving, or where he's standing. And then while he tries to run in one direction, he sees there's fire. He tries to turn in another, and there's fire. And he says, what have I got myself into? And he starts to remember the bird and his loved one. You know, we say, what goes around comes around. 2 birds were burnt in fire out of sacrifice. And now may you or will you die in fire? He starts to think. You know what we say? Heaven and hell, right here. You can burn your karmas right here. The fire started to blaze, and no matter which corner he turned, he couldn't find a direction until a moment came and the fire started to consume his entire body. And while it's consuming, he started to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The same chant that he heard just once in his life. Even being a bad person, one time in his life he heard it. And he started chanting. And while he was chanting the mantra, it is said while the fire will consume his body, he will burn his karma right here on the earth. He saw Bhagavan Shri Krishna from above. He saw the 2 birds. He saw himself elevating. And while he was elevating to go to the skies, the Lord says, with all that you have done wrong, just like you've allowed 2 birds to burn in fire, today you receive the same thing. And out of that, you have allowed your karmas to be burned. And by the chanting of Nama Sankirtana, the chanting of the Maha Mantra Hare Krishna, today I will take you to the skies. The most important part is recognizing where you have gone wrong and turning your life to something that is beautiful. And he prostrated to Bhagavan Govinda, and he hailed in the name of the Divine Lord. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki, Krishna Kanhaiya Lal ki Jai. Lagan tumse lagavate. The Lord sits on a beautiful chariot, and he says, my child, today I bless you. When you can identify your wrong, make a change and do better. It's better than living a lifetime of fighting the world of problems. Lagan tumse lagavate, jo hoga dekha jayega. तुम ही अपनी बना बैठे, तुम ही अपनी बना बैठे, जो होगा देखा जाएगा. लगन तुमसे. क्या बात, everybody बोलो. We are lucky to be alive. And we are lucky to be here. Clap everybody. Bolo! कभी दुनिया से धरते थे, कभी दुनिया से धरते थे, चुप चुप यार करते ते लो अब पर्दा उठा बैठे लो अब पर्दा उठा बैठे जो होगा देख जाएगा लगन तुमसे हरि राधे गोविंदा कभी यहाँ काया था दुनिया कभी यहाँ काया था दुनिया हमें बदनाम कर देगी शर्म अब बीच ताबेते शर्म अब बीच ताबेते जो होगा देख जाएगा लगन तुमसे हरि हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे शिव वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की बाकी बिहारी लाल की जय. This is where we end our beautiful message tonight, friends. We do have one more session tomorrow morning. We will be here from 9:30 till 12. So devotees can join us tomorrow. But at this time, before we go into the final Arty, of course, I must invite Mr. Bansingh to give us a few words. Tonight, Mr. Bansingh dressed up like a nice dulaha.
Bindraban Bihari Lal ki jai. Sriman Vyasi Pandit. His name is so popular in Trinidad, Canada, and all parts of the world. I think he just came coming back from Guyana, Pandit. Here, our dear Pandit, beloved Pandit Narad Gosai. Give him a big round of applause. And you know, I could just sit here and listen to our Vyasji all night. Why did you cut it so short for? So devotees, I'm giving our Kirtan group a big round of applause. They all was imported from Trinidad and Tobago, so this is wonderful. And our Pandit Ram, and Pandit, I forget the name now. What? I know him, but he came, he was in this mandir before quite a long time. No, he looks, I've seen him for the past maybe few years. He looks more young. That's why I didn't recognize you. So give them a big round of applause. Devotees, as our Vyasi have said, this year will come to an end tomorrow at around 12:30. And I really regret it very much. But nevertheless, I have booked many Pandits and wonderful Pandits just like Narad Gosai from Trinidad, which you have many devotees have been waiting for a very long time, have never came to Canada. And there's going to come in this Mandir, the Shiva Ganesh Mandir. So I'll give you the date, but first I'll start from the side that how we have gone. And I must thank each and every one of you for making it possible to bring this year to a success. So may Krishna Chandra Bhagwan really bless each and every one of you here tonight. Commencing from Sunday the 15th of October. Now keep the date down. I didn't make no flyers for that yet, but I think I had some flyers. 15th of November, Sunday the 15th of October to Monday the 23rd of October, we'll be having a nine nights Durga Devi Yag. by one of the very popular Pandit from Trinidad and Tobago, Pandit Neil Prasad of Trinidad. But he lives in Florida now. So he will be from the 15th of October to the 23rd of October. And he's a wonderful Pandit. He's here with us many times before. And a Pandit that everyone is really longing and they're waiting to listen to and to hear. First time in Canada, we have, starting from Monday the 27th of November to Sunday the 3rd of December, we'll be having the 7 nights Ramayana Yag and Gyan Yag together. I don't know. It's really it's very interesting to hear this Pandit name alone. On Sunday the 3rd of December, we will be having a 7 nights Gyan Yag by one of a very great Pandit in Trinidad, Pandit Sunil Sitahal Maharaj of Trinidad and Tobago. I know everyone has been asking me, when are we going to bring Sunil? I said, well, we have Narad coming soon. So they said, no, we want to also hear Sunil Sitahal Maharaj. If you go onto the internet, you will see him day and night, and he's wonderful. I spoke to him, and the way he spoke on the phone, well, he seems to, I've never seen him before, but he seems like a very wonderful and a very devoted person to Sri Krishna Bhagwan. So he will be coming on 27th of, you'll be coming on 27th of November to the 3rd of December. So don't forget. And this year will come to an end. You sure it's tomorrow, Pandit? You want to extend a day or two more? You sure? I don't want to say something and you change your mind, eh? But this year when it ends tomorrow, we'll start at about 9:30 in the morning. But all I'm asking is tomorrow, our the Krishna Srimad Bhagwat Puraan, bring a little bit of prasad to offer to Sri Krishna Bhagwan. You know, this is no joke I'm telling you. Eh? From very small growing up, I always pray to Krishna. And when you do pray to Krishna, anything you want in this world, you will get. Believe what I'm telling you. It's wonderful. Bhagwan Krishna is the greatest. When they had the problem in the Bhagwan created the rain, what Krishna did, Pandit, you know what he did? He went under the earth and he picked up the earth with his little finger, the entire universe. So what he cannot do for you, he can do anything for you. Krishna is so great. So we all should always offer a little prasad. It's such a great blessing. And you know, it is your privilege to ask for something, ask for a little gift, or something, and you will get it. Krishna never turned nobody down. So Bindraban Bihari Lal Ki Jai. And give our Pandit again a big round of applause. Panditji, Pandit Ram, he's been in this mandir with us at least for over 2 years, 3 years now, right? And he 5 years? I can't remember. 5 years. 5 years went so fast, I can't even think it's 5 years gone. So give him a big round of applause. And thank you all. And as I said, tomorrow has been the last day. Bring a little prasad to offer to Krishna, Bhagwan, Durga, any day tells you what. They all have the same power. Thank you, Panditji, again. And Jai Sri Ram. Sita. Okay, you want to still talk again?
Yeah, let me talk again. Yeah, let me start over.
Okay.
Let us all stand for beautiful Arty. आरती कुंज विहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज विहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज विहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की माला माला बजावे मुरली मधुर बाला बाला श्रवण में कुंदर जल काला काला नंद के आनंद आनंद कंद मोहन ब्रज चंद्र राधिका रमण बिहारी की गिरिधर जय हो अंग कांटे काले काले, राधिका चमक रही आले आले, रतन में कर दे बनमाली माली, ब्रह्म से अलग कस्तूरी तिलक, चंद्र से झलक ललित छवि श्यामा प्यारे की, गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की, आरती कुंज विहारी की, गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल, जय राधा रमण हरि बोल, राधा रमण हरि बोल, जय राधा रमण हरि बोल, राधा रमण हरि बोल, जय राधा रमण हरि बोल, जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल, जय राधा रमण हरि। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं, मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं, यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दममाधवं। जय जय राधा, जय जय राधा, जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल, जय राधा रमण हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, 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 वासुदेवाय वासुदेवाय वासुदेवाय। अमित पराक्रम मारुति नामा, अजित महाकृति अति सुखधाम, श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान, जय जय कपिवर बहुबलवान, श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान, जय जय कपिवर बहुबलवान, श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान, जय जय कपिवर बहुबलवान। जय श्री राम। अमित पराक्रम मारुति नामा, अमित पराक्रम मारुति नामा, अजित महाकृति अति सुखदाम, अजित महाकृति अति सुखदाम, श्री हनुमान जय हनुमान, जय जय कपिवर बहुबलवान। जय श्री राम। शोक विनाशन चतुरा, सीता भक्ता शोक विनाशन चतुरा सुंदर शुभकर भयंकरा सुंदर शुभकर जयंकरा जय हनुमान जय जय कपिवर बहुबलवान जय हनुमान जय जय कपिवर बहुबलवान जय जय कपिवर बहुबलवान जय जय कपिवर बहुबलवान जय जय कपिवर बहुबलवान 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 त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव ॐ शान्ति 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 हरि ओम। वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की, उमापति महादेव की, पवन सुत हनुमान की, सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय।